Good morning, 7th graders, and welcome to science class. Mr. Cook is coming to you here today, and today we're going to talk about deserts and tundras. Desert and tundras. All right, it is week 3, day 2, assignment 1 here of our second semester, Tuesday, January 19th. All right, so remember that we are doing this whole unit in context of talking about this animals we chose for our Take a Trip project back. Some of us even right before Christmas break, but most of us after Christmas break. So as we're learning about this biome and all its characteristics, I want you to remember your animal and the plants that it interacts with in its biome within its ecosystem. All right, so just keep that in mind as you're going. So if you want to, you can even pause this video and stop and think, do I remember my animal? Do I remember the biome it's in and plants that it interacts with? And if not, just pause it and go back on Google Classroom and go and find that sheet, or find the actual sheet if you have a paper copy there. So just keep those in mind. All right, so first off, what's this a picture of? This is a picture of a football team that is not in the playoffs. The Cowboys. Bad. So if we're football fans, then who should we root for? I'll say you should root for. Right there. Buccaneers. My boy Tom Brady. Right? In case you're wondering, are things to do. You should definitely be rooting for Tom Brady. And just on a personal note, I'm pretty sure if he knew me, we'd be best friends. Right? And to prove it to you, he did go to the University of Michigan, which is, I think, why we'd be best friends. Definitely. But I doubt that's going to happen. So what does this have to do with science class? Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game, and they play at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And this is a picture of a famous football game between the Cowboys, wink wink, and the Packers back in the 1960s, which the Packers won. It was called the Ice Bowl. Sometimes that field is called the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And if you look at it, that was a famous game they played. It was negative 15 degrees during the game, and the field was straight frozen solid, which takes us to tundra, takes us to one of our biomes that we'll be talking about here today. All right, so we are comparing the tundra and the desert. There are two biomes that are very similar, and we'll get to what they have in common. However, they are a little different because they're two different types of biomes. You see those pictures above on top of your screen shows one is tundra, one is a desert. So you might want to stop and think, can I figure out the difference between those just by looking at those two? And that'll give us a little heads up as we dive into the tundra and to the desert. All right, so what we have here is a little data table, and your teacher should have given you a little data sheet for all the different biomes on Earth here. And so we're talking about just the tundra and the desert, just the tundra and the desert here as well. So your teacher may have given you a copy that already had these facts filled in, and if they don't, then go ahead and just copy those down here. All right, so feel free to do that wherever you're at. And remember, you can always pause the video if you need to copy down something. So let's talk temperature. Tundra, cold, right? In the winters, negative 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Crazy cold, colder than you to even understand, right? That's the coldest temperatures that it hurts to breathe, all right, types of temperatures. However, in the summer months, it gets all the way up to 37 degrees. Which is crazy cold still. So even the summer times are not getting a whole lot. Remember our video from Mr. Bulch last week? All right, you're getting the tundra areas in the very northern areas. So they're going to spend most of the year getting very little sunlight because of how a lot of times the northern regions are getting shorter daylight because of the tilt here. All right, so on the opposite side we have the desert, which is known for being crazy hot. Okay, during the day over 100 degrees. Plus temperatures, hottest temperatures we have on Earth places are going to be there. But the tricky thing about deserts you might not realize is the deserts actually get down pretty cool at night, below freezing. right? Below freezing. And some of that has to do with the lack of anything to hold on to temperature, similar to you might see in space or the moon. The lack of water in the air, the lack of plants, as well doesn't let that area hold on to heat as well as like our atmosphere, you know, in our temperate deciduous forest biome. All right, how about rain? Right, this is where we see them very similar. Very little amounts of water. So tundra, and here's the deal: these two amounts of rainfall are basically the same. So a big deal difference is just going to be temperatures, right? We're just going to get crazy hot and cold, where the tundra is going to be crazy cold and warm up just barely, just barely. So 15 to 20 centimeters. So what that looks like, think about a 1 foot ruler. All right, if you think about what does that actually mean, 15 to 20 centimeters. All right, so that is, there's more water. A foot is longer, so you're getting less than a foot of water a year. So very little amounts of water. What does that mean? Well, these animals have to adapt. All right, so in tundra we have reindeer, not the fictional ones that carry the sleigh, but actual reindeer. They're the deer family. Polar bears, Arctic foxes, and lemmings. All right, what's a lemming? Lemmings is a little rodent, and here's a picture of one. They're known to run in crazy amounts. So that's what a lemming actually looks like. All right, and those animals are adapted for the temperature and the rainfall. All right, how about for the desert? What kind of animals we're looking at? Gila monster, which is poisonous. I'm sorry, it's venomous, and it's just a large lizard. Scorpions, fennec foxes, camels are also animals that we're going to see there. And here's the fennec fox. We have the very small. They're about 3 feet long, about 2 feet tall. They have the largest ears compared to bodies in the animal kingdom, which lets them cool down, because remember that they have to survive in the desert. And again, these animals have to survive with very little amounts of water and obviously crazy changes in temperatures as well. All right, what kind of plants are we going to see in these areas? Dwarf trees in the tundra, dwarf trees, Arctic mosses, Arctic willows, and then a bearberry. And this is called the bearberry because, as you probably realize, is that these flowers will eventually turn into fruit, which the bears like to eat. So there's little berries that kind of come on the end here. All right, and these are adapted. You'll notice no big trees in these areas. The tundra is, the ground's barely going to unfreeze. So since those frozen areas, you're not going to see big root systems. Lots of grasses, mosses, and such. In the desert, dealing with very little. We have cactus, all right, Joshua trees, which are very small trees. Not a whole lot of leaves on those. Prickly pear, cactus, and the desert lily. And here's a picture of a prickly pear cactus. You see a little fruit on top of it. These animals and organisms have all adapted and changed to deal with these temperatures and this kind of rainfall. All right, that's a thing to remember. All right. So what I want you to do is you should have another sheet from your teacher. I'm sorry, we already talked about the sheet. All right, and you'll notice the blank left here is just a description. So what you do is just to write a very short description of the types of animals, plants, average rainfall, and temperatures. So high temperatures, low temperatures, you get hot and cold. You know, do we have large animals? Do we have animals with lots of fur? Do we have animals that don't have a lot of fur? You know, and go ahead and write that in here. So you can go ahead and pause that. And again, use this data that your teacher and myself have given you to help you just kind of give a quick snapshot of what kind of area we are talking about. Okay? And after you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take a look at this document. It's a document your teacher should have given you. Teacher might give it to you in person. Those of you virtual folk, they might give you just a doc to type in, or how to speak to Tammy. And here what you're going to do is you're just going to draw and illustrate an animal that lives in the desert and tundra biome. All right, so go back and look at that list you just had. If you have to Google and see, okay, well, I don't know what lives in the desert or the Arctic or in the tundra, go look it up, right? And go ahead and draw yourself a little sketch of an animal and a plant, all right, that lives there. And then I want you to list what are the adaptations of that plant and animals. How are those animals adapted to living in these biomes? right? Whether it's fur covering or body parts, or how their body parts might be somewhat different, how they deal with lack of water, how they deal with those extreme temperatures. All right, and the secondly, I want you to think back to the animal that you chose at the beginning of our project, and how would your animal survive in this biome? So give us a couple sentences, all right, or plus, to explain would they be able to survive in there, and why or why not. So if you chose an animal that does live in these biomes, you're going to be able to tell us why they're able to survive. If your animal is not from this biome, it's not probably going to survive here, but tell us why. All right, or why not. And I think our last one here is even to think even further and stop and think, what adaptations would my animal need to survive here? So if my animal is used to living in a tropical rainforest, all right, it's not going to survive in these two. So what adaptations would it need? What changes would it need, both in behavior and in like physical structures, hairs, fins, paws, and tails, and so on. And if you're struggling with this last one, stop and think, what do all the animals that live in these areas, what do they all have in common? All right, so take a second. And remember, our key here is to look back and to think tundra and desert are known for low amounts of rain. Very little water, very little rain. They also are known for colder and extreme temperatures. All right, extreme temperatures here. So if you have more questions, go ahead and ask them to your teacher, and have fun exploring tundra and biome.